Hello and welcome to Hank Games Without Hank. My name is John Green, and apparently South Africa did not enjoy playing the United States once enough, so we're going to play them again. And today I'm going to talk about the question of whether America is good. This was one of the comment suggestions that I saw that was upvoted a lot, and I think it's a really interesting question, particularly because I know a lot of Sweetly Cooper supporters live outside the United States. I am American, so my perspective on this may differ from yours, but it's an interesting question. I think overall, kind of unambiguously, in the course of human history, the United States has been a force for good, and for a lot of sort of liberalizing forces in world global politics. Oh, great save! And that, you know, even when the United States hasn't lived up to its ideals, which has been usually, it has still been a force for good because of the power of those ideas, the power of the idea of individual liberty, and I also think that in a purely economic way, you know, the United States has had a lot to do with the growth, the industrial growth in, you know, from like 1850 on, that's been very important to human history for the last 150 years, and that's a big part in why we are watching, you know, why we have the computing power to leisurely play soccer in a fairly realistic way. So hyper-realistic, by the way, that Green Eggs in Foderingham came to me today and said he did not want to sign a 3-year contract because he wants to maybe consider playing with a bigger team. And I was like, wow, you really are like regular soccer. So, yeah, I think you know, all the tremendous technological progress that we've seen in the last 150 years does have something to do with American ideas of innovation, and I think, as problematic as I find patents and copyright now, America's early embrace of intellectual property and kind of veneration of intellectual property was probably useful to the world in terms of getting all that stuff that we want. Oh, a little bit better ball, and that might have worked a little bit earlier or something. Maybe I don't know. We'll keep thinking about it. So I think you know, I think if you take the overall historical United States, as someone who is teaching AP U.S. history, linking the doobly-doo, you've got to say that the United States is a force for has been a force for good. Now, like, that good has come with many risks, and it may be that we look back on this and say, yes, we got the internet out of this bargain, but we ended up, you know, killing humanity, whether it's from, you know, nuclear technology or whatever technological innovation proves, you know, like deadly to us or whatever. And then we will have been like, well, we should have stayed hunter-gatherers, and maybe we should. I don't know, but I think if you're talking about like increasing the quality of life of the average human and stuff like that, I think the United States has and its style of governance have been useful. Is America currently a force for good in the world? That is a much more complex question, I think, and I don't have a good or easy answer for it. I do think that that it's sort of better than people give it credit for, or at least that a lot of people outside the United States give it credit for. That you know, for instance, that the United States, while it did a dreadful job in Rwanda, for example, it, you know, it was a significant contributor, certainly not the only contributor, but it's a significant contributor to the improvement in the. I'm too little, too late, I know, but like still, it might not have happened. Oh, I just got tackled from behind. I was fouled. That is Josie Altidore. That whole thing is crap. Did you see? I was running to the ball. Let's see the replay here. I'm running to the ball. I get. Wow, is that not a foul? For the love of God! This is the most obvious foul I've ever seen. I mean, I'm sorry. Is this a computer? And if so, I mean, I guess the computing power of this FIFA game is so incredibly impressive that it has the ability to make terrible calls. Oh, man. That was awful. So now we're down 1-0, which is where we do not like to be. Although we did come from behind twice in our previous game, so I'm not going to rule out the possibility, but I don't know. Draws are not victories. Oh, boy. Good save. Nope. Nope. Should have hit the X button. Should have hit X. Should probably still hit X, but I'm not going to. I'm just not an X person. I think, I think when you look at sort of the superficial things, the obvious things, the things that are in the news cycle, the war in Iraq, the war in Afghanistan, the United States has probably not been a force for good, and that the war in Iraq has been a destabilizing, in Iraq in particular, has been very destabilizing for the whole world, and has also resulted in the deaths of many tens of thousands and possibly more than 100,000 people who didn't need to die. It's not to defend Saddam Hussein in any way, but I think the infrastructure in Iraq is still not what it was before the invasion, and that's pretty astonishing. These many years later, so I think there's a lot to look back on, in those news cycle stories, for lack of a better term, and say like, well, that didn't go well, and that really wasn't a positive force. And I think generally in the post-World War II era, the United States has not really been as successful a global political stabilizing force as it could have been or should have been, and from Iran to Guatemala, interfered in a lot of ways that were very bad for those countries, and in the end also very bad for kind of the world. But I still think that America makes really significant and important contributions to the global economy, and is still a significant driver of innovation, and still has a lot going for it, and there's a lot that we should kind of be grateful for as global citizens. We should be, not everybody certainly who works at EA Sports, but a lot of them live in the United States, and those people help to give us FIFA, and I am grateful to them, because this is a terrible game and I hate it. I've always said this is a terrible game, and the United States is no longer a force for good. Oh, I'm going to get fired. Anyway, it was fun managing a team. Please enjoy my two-part series. John briefly... I suck. Why do I suck so bad at FIFA, even after all these years? I admit I've never played with a team with this caliber of talent, but this is pretty embarrassing. Oh boy. Oh boy. No, three. Wow. Hit the post, and it hit the back of my keeper's head. Oh. S. Holden Goldfield's coming on for the United States of America. Good to see him again. Oh! This is just a humiliation and an embarrassment. And I feel bad for the South African national team and the whole nation of South Africa that trusted me to be their manager, not knowing that, of course, I'm only able to manage swoodly poopers. This is a disaster. Well, I'm going to try to get better, and we'll see in our if we can get to World Cup qualifying without getting fired. We can see if we make some progress, but clearly got a ways to go here. Oh boy, maybe I need a different formation. I don't know. Time will tell. I think it's been too easy to break us down. Both games, the second half has been dominated by the other team. That makes me think that, yeah. So I think that the kind of like the legacy of the United States is really complicated, but that no one or very few people, I think, alive on Earth would willingly take back, would willingly imagine the world without the contributions of the United States, because I don't think that it would be. I think it's very hard to argue that it would be better. Even now, I think it's. There may be, there's certainly more ambiguity now than if you look at the whole last, say, 175 years. But even now, I think that you probably wouldn't want to take away the U.S. as an overall sort of like, oh, boys, that was such a great play until the very end. Dang it, that was too great, but there's a smidge of hope in that. Like in a nice use of the Y button, and then, there's a little bit of hope I think we've got to take away from that. And here, maybe? Oh, in slow motion, which is the only way I like to score. My favorite thing about South Africa is that instead of doing proper celebrations like robots or whatever, we tend to just immediately go for the hug, and that's nice to see. All right, so we have 2 minutes, and we've scored 2 goals in the last 5 minutes of our games. There's a glimmer of promise here, but obviously a long way to go in terms of getting to know the players, the skill sets, learning to manage them better. That's oh, give me the ball back. But can we maybe get? No, we can't. We can't. Life is hard and full of disappointment, my friends. Do you think the United States is good? Let me know in comments. We're smelling our pits and shame. Best wishes.